Peace, everybody. Welcome to the VITAL HOOPS Podcast. My name is Fernando Cardenas, aka International XB, and I'm your host. This is episode 14, and I'm excited today. You have the pleasure of rocking with me by myself today. Started the VITAL HOOPS Podcast not too long ago, but we're already 14 episodes in, so thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and make sure you spread the word like I always say. So listen, it is now September, and for most people the basketball season either started or is about to start, maybe next month, maybe towards the end of the month, depending on where you at, what level you play, all of that. But listen, welcome back to a new season for all you ball players, all you coaches, all of that. And I just want to say, for this season, make sure you do the little things. You know what I mean? Make sure you take the time off the court. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you take the time for recovery. That's very important. That's what's going to make your career a little bit longer, your career a little bit better. You know what I mean? Make sure you do all the little things, the stretching, the icing, you know what I mean? Make sure you focus on your nutrition, right? Make sure you get to know your body so you know when you should be stretching and when you shouldn't. All these things are very key. When you're young, sometimes you overlook these things. And what I've learned over the years is that, these things are just as important as training. You know what I'm saying? So to all you young athletes and older athletes as well, make sure you invest in that. You invest in your time off the court so that you're right and you can, have a good season and ultimately a good career. So that's the first point I wanted to touch on. Obviously the NBA season is not on yet, but we had some good basketball over the summer, and the WNBA is actually the playoffs are done. The finals are on, right? By the time this podcast airs out, we will have a new WNBA champion, which will be either the Connecticut Suns or the Las Vegas Aces, which I think will win the championship. But one of the greatest women's basketball player of all time, I want to say, Sue Bird. And so, she retired on September 7th when they lost in the playoffs. Her team, the Seattle Storm, lost in the playoffs to the Las Vegas Aces. And, just wanted to, big her up, much respect to Sue Bird, one amazing basketball player, 4-time WNBA champion, 13-time WNBA All-Star, 5 times Russian National League champion, 5-time EuroLeague champion, and 2-time NCAA champion. You know what I mean? That's just amongst many other individual accolades, but just overall an amazing ball player, and much respect to her. And we'll see what she got going on in her life after basketball. But a very long career, which is extremely respectable because we know it's not easy as a professional athlete to have a long career. And she did it the right way. So much respect to Sue Bird and her amazing career. But to get back to the WNBA Finals, like I said, by the time this podcast airs out, we'll have a new champion. So the finals will be over. But just to go a little bit over the finals, game 1 was a close one. It was a good game. I actually had the chance to check it out. And, A'ja Wilson killing double-double, had 11 rebounds and 24 points. You know what I mean? She's been killing because game 2, she did it again. The Aces won again, 85-71 in game 2. And A'ja Wilson had 10 rebounds and 26 points. So again, another double-double. The Aces backcourt is really good too with Plum and Gray. They've been balling. Game 3, the Sun Connecticut was able to get the W 105-76. And we'll see how it continues to develop, but I believe the Aces will win the chip. Also, Greg Popovich, the legendary Coach Pop, visited the Aces locker room as well, and praised the head coach Becky Hammond, which was his assistant for the Spurs before. And he obviously said that they didn't need him to speak or anything, but he was like, it was just a dope moment to see him, bigging up the players, the Aces, and he also said that the sweetest wins were on the road. So he was just highlighting that fact. But I just thought it was dope to see Coach Pop, one of the greatest there, supporting great basketball that's being played in the WNBA. Other than that, the EuroBasket just ended, right? The European Championship, the FIBA European Basketball Championship just ended. And it was some great games, obviously. Giannis Antetokounmpo playing for Greece. You know what I mean? We had the Dallas Mavericks superstar, you know what I mean? Young Luka Doncic playing for his country of Slovenia. Obviously, Spain, as always, an amazing team, and France, a really good team as well. But obviously, Rudy Gobert, Evan Fournier, but also some other great players that they have that don't play in the league. And so it was a good championship. There were also other great teams. I'm just mentioning a couple. You know what I mean? Germany was really good as well. The quarterfinals were interesting because actually the German team beat Greece, right? Dennis Schroeder had an amazing game. He had been killing, but also they're at home, so you could tell that they had the juice with them. You know what I mean? The German team, they were killing in that quarterfinals game when they beat Greece. The home crowd was rocking. You know what I mean? So Schroeder had 26 points and 8 assists. You know what I mean? And Germany got the win, but they shot the lights out. The whole squad was shooting the lights out. And Antetokounmpo had 31, but obviously, like I said, they lost. I didn't think they would lose with Antetokounmpo, but Germany does have a really good team. On the other side, we had another surprising one was Slovenia losing. You know what I mean? With Luka Doncic losing to Poland. We didn't expect that one. I definitely didn't. Doncic, he had been playing really well in the EuroBasket, but he had 14 points and he kind of fouled out, and he was mad at the refs. You know what I mean? The Slovenia lost 87-90, so Poland went on to play France in the semis. But you know what I mean? In my opinion, Luka Doncic, he cries too much. It's not just now in the EuroBasket. I see it in the league as well. He's always crying to the refs. You know what I'm saying? So, but whatever, that's what it is. In today's game, we got a few of those, players that go on crying to the refs all the time. It's annoying to me. Just play ball. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. So then, in the semifinals, we have France versus Poland, and Spain versus Germany. And Spain versus Germany was interesting. I didn't get to watch the game, but I'm sure it was a great game, 91-96. Spain actually got the W, but Schroeder had another great game. He had 30 points. You know what I mean? And in Spain, they actually got Lorenzo Brown. You know what I mean? An amazing player. Lorenzo Brown, he had 29 points in the semis, and Spain went on to win. But yeah, it's crazy to see, a brother play for Spain. But anyway, on the other side, Poland versus France was a massacre. France terminated Poland 54-95, and Yabusele in France had a great game at 22, was killing, playing good defense, everything all around. But a lot of them were played well. France just really dominated that game. The championship by the time this podcast drops, there will be a new European basketball champion. Could be France, could be Spain. It's going to be a great game, I'm sure. But that's that. So real quick, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but Robert Sarver, I'm sure a lot of you heard the little story about Robert Sarver. He's the major owner of the Phoenix Suns. There was a little incident, misconduct towards employees, right? So he was fined $10 million and suspended for 1 year. Basically, he said the N-word a few times. He made inappropriate comments on female employees, inappropriate physical conduct towards male employees, engaged in demeaning, harsh treatment of employees, including yelling and cursing at them, right? You know what I mean? So then we had Chris Paul and LeBron speaking up, saying that this is, it's not right. It shouldn't happen in our league, as they say. You know what I mean? I think the whole thing is a little bit hypocritical, right? Because I think that this shit happens all the time. You know what I mean? All these rich, white, old billionaires, owners, they do this shit all the time. It's not new. We've seen it before. You know what I mean? A lot of times they don't get caught, but that's how they operate. That's how they feel. That's how they think. So, you know what I mean? To now be like, yeah, this is crazy in our league, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? As the reality of things. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean they shouldn't speak up against it. But I do believe it is the norm. You know what I mean? It is the norm within all these owners, NBA owners. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens. To be honest, remembering going back to the whole Donald Sterling thing, when the Clippers, they reversed their jerseys and they threw him in the middle of the floor, I thought that wasn't enough, in my opinion. And now I'm pretty sure the Suns won't do anything. But for some reason, Chris Paul is always caught up in these things. He was with the Clippers when the whole Donald Sterling thing, and now he's with the Suns. But I don't think the Suns are going to do anything when the season starts, just as, most of the NBA players were supporting the brother Colin Kaepernick, you know what I mean? But when the anthem came on in the league, everybody stood up and put their hands on their heart. So I'm just saying. So real quick, to get a little bit out of basketball, but still into, things that happen, in somewhat of the pop culture, right? Everybody, I feel like a lot of these billionaire, quote unquote, billionaire rappers are going a little crazy, right? They're on the Kanye West train. We seen P. Diddy recently on his Instagram. He came on talking about, my mission from God is to free all the Black people. You know what I mean? Something like that. He was like, that's my mission. I understand my calling. And he was like, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing it for us. I'm gonna buy Disney for us. You know what I'm saying? So, and then Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z, he had this line talking about, I was born the day Fred Hampton passed, something like that. I was born the day Fred Hampton died, just real niggas multiply, something like that. And so it's not the first time, he's been kind of comparing himself to, to revolutionaries, and he, Diddy, all these guys, they think they're, and we have to understand something, you know what I'm saying? Black billionaires, you know what I'm saying, making money is not liberation. So as long as they're making their money, but they're shutting the fuck up, that's one thing. But once they start miseducating the youth and making the people think that being a billionaire is about liberation, then that's a problem, right? Because that's a problem, because our people are already misled. You know what I'm saying? Where we have a humongous lack of political education. And now we got these billionaires talking all this foolishness, right? And people listen to them. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a problem. Then Jay-Z came on some interview talking about, now they're coming up with new words, quote unquote new words like capitalism, you know what I'm saying? And they want to say eat the rich. And we've been through so much that now they want to take it like, yo, come on, Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? New words like capitalism. Come on, man. Jay-Z needs to, I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or he needs to educate himself, you know what I'm saying, on capitalism, on colonialism, you know what I'm saying, on being a billionaire, you know what I'm saying, on wealth accumulation, all these things, you know what I'm saying, on African liberation in general. But yeah, we have a problem here with all these, you know, black billionaires that think they're doing something for the people because they're making money. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. Making money is important. You know what I'm saying? We got to make money due to the circumstances we live in. But this whole get the bag culture is problematic. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you got to get your bag. You know what I'm saying? But it should never be profit over people. Never. It's always people over profit. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Now, and I can expand on that a little bit. Matter of fact, I want to get some. I want to soon get some real guests that can really, you know what I mean, expand on all that. But as of now, I'm just gonna leave it right there. You know what I'm saying? We got political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? Still to this day, in many countries around the world, but particularly right now, I'm talking about the United States, where Jay-Z and Diddy and all these guys are at. And real people that have been fighting for black liberation, you know what I'm saying? And they're never mentioned, you know what I'm saying? Mumia is still locked up, you know what I'm saying? Mutulu Shakur is dying in prison and they don't even want to give him compassionate release, right? Matter of fact, yeah, Mutulu Shakur. So please educate yourselves on that. Check out Mutulu Shakur's documentary, Dope as Death. Check that out. You know what I'm saying? Learn about these brothers and sisters that are locked up because they've been fighting for the liberation of our people. But let's talk a little bit real quick about, you know, the death of, you know, we're gonna go along the same line. We're gonna talk about the death of, you know, the Queen of England, right? And we're seeing all these people so sorry, you know what I'm saying? RIP and left and right. Once again, same thing. We're not educated. We don't understand. We don't understand colonialism. Maybe we don't. You know what I'm saying? But we should. That's one of our problems. We have no political education. They say there's a saying that is the sun never sets on the British Empire. You know what I mean? I mean, basically Britain colonized half of the world and the Queen has benefited from that. And she has been there for a lot of the atrocities. She was crowned, I think, in 1952. So she's been there through a lot. And she's never questioned all the horrible things that the United Kingdom has done over the world. Never questioned anything. Just to name a couple things, the Chinese resettlement, the partitioning of India. There was the Kenyan camps, you know what I mean, in Kenya, which is a very touchy subject for me because this speaks directly to the Mau Mau. And real quick, for those of you who don't know, you know, like I said, Queen Elizabeth was crowned in 52, and I believe in 53 or 54 was the Mau Mau massacre. So basically, yeah, in the 50s, you know, like I said, England colonized half the world, but they colonized Kenya, and in the 50s, Kenya wanted their country back, but the British weren't ready for that, so they set up camps, right? And in these camps, they would basically rape the people, like what they do in camps. Like basically, they would rape the people. They would the men and the women. They would overwork them, rape them, all kinds of horrible shit that happened in these things, right? And there were these brothers that, you know, they became the Land and Freedom Army, you know, the Mau Mau. They fought for the liberation of Kenya. They were anti-colonial, you know what I mean? And they wore dreadlocks, right? And they actually inspired many Rastafarians. The reason many Rastafarians wore dreadlocks is because of the Mau Mau. And that's also the main reason why I wear dreadlocks. You know what I mean? For the Mau Mau, it was a sacred symbol of resistance against the British colonial, but it was also a symbol of self-love. You know what I mean? So yeah, the locks represent something more than just hair. You know what I mean? The dreadlocks. So anyway, yeah, the Mau Mau. Much respect to those warriors, and so here we are. You know what I'm saying? Here we are. This is where we at. Everybody crying over the queen, and meanwhile, you know, the queen's crown still had, you know, and still has, because even though she's not here, the crown is still there and owned by the family. Still has diamonds from India and Egypt, you know what I'm saying? And that were stolen, you know what I'm saying? Like all the riches. And, you know, people are just either clueless or, you know, they act like they don't know, or, you know what I'm saying? But all this to say, we need political education, you know what I mean, as a people, and we need to get away from the I mentality, you know what I'm saying? And it's important for us to think to think collective, you know what I'm saying? I think this quote is important. Malcolm X said, if you're not careful, the newspaper will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. Watch out for mainstream media. You know what I'm saying? Get your own source of information. You know what I'm saying? Study, read books. You know what I'm saying? Learn, question everything. Yeah, that's that. So yeah, before I go, my book recommendation, you know what I mean? Since we spoke a little bit on the Mau Mau, I want to recommend Mau Mau from Within, the story of the Kenya Land and Freedom Army, right? It's a book by Donald Lee Barnett and Karari and Njama. So check that out. Learn a little bit about the Mau Mau. Get your political education, man. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? It's important, like I always say, for us basketball players to understand that we're more than just ball players. You know what I'm saying? We need to understand our history. We need to understand where we come from, you know, us as African people. And we need to understand where we're going, where we need to be. You know what I mean? It's more than just sports. And, you know, this is me saying this. You know what I'm saying? When I say that, I mean that, you know, to me, basketball is life. You know what I'm saying? I started playing the game at 6 years old, and I never stopped loving it, and I never will. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate you for listening to the podcast, for watching. Please share, like, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Give us 5 stars. You know what I'm saying? We'll be back. We're still working. This is Vital Hoops. You know what I mean? And we do it for the culture, and we're here to stay. Peace.